So this morning, our first speaker, I have great pleasure to introduce, is Bina Rao, an Indian artist and designer. Bina acquired her master's in fine arts. She works extensively towards the growth and development of ethnic handloom and natural dye craft heritage of India. She has done a number of design, development and revival of textile projects for various textile clusters in rural India and Southeast Asia, with an aim to promote these endangered skills on the global platform and support the weavers. Bina started her own design studio, Creative Bee, known as a hub of design and fashion activity with high-profile, bulk and retail clientele. Her passion to impart knowledge and experience gave her an opportunity to teach in various national and international design institutes. She's on the advisory committee of Government of India, Textile Ministry, adjunct professor, National Institute of Fashion Technology, member of WCC, Textile Society of America, and the Weavers Guild Australia. And since 2016, she's been a consultant to the United Nations for Africa, a project on textile design and fashion. She has put together today, also which you'll see later in the evening, a wonderful collection in her Ikats for a fashion show. I have great pleasure to welcome Bina and a dear friend.
Thank you, Manjuji, for such a flattering introduction. And good afternoon, I must say, so that everyone would wake up to my talk. As she rightly said, that I like to focus my presentation to the students and also to the young torchbearer of the movement called Save Handcrafts. So I'm very happy to see the students here. Ikat Textiles of Andhra Pradesh, which is also now divided into two states, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. The tie which has bound all of us together from Ikat Weaving Forum of 1999 till this date is the tie that binds. I remember presenting a paper, New Direction in Ikat, in the first Ikat Forum when I was a budding designer. I just started out to experiment with my design elements into traditional handicraft, and I was making a statement to everybody saying that handloom is fashionable. Handloom is not rough, rugged, something that only Khadi movement or a freedom movement can wear. Handloom is very fashionable, and I want to put it on a global map. If I look back, it has been a journey of hard work and passion of select few like us, all in this conference, to help Ikat and many such hand skills to survive. Sadly, not in its full form, but at least strong enough to sustain few million hand weavers and dyers in India, Indian subcontinent and few other countries. I have said then that fashion is a cycle. Indeed, Ikat has appeared as a trend on the fashion map number of times in these 18-19 years. The present Ikat trend is minimalistic. All my designer friends here would agree that the trend is minimalistic. As a designer, I am of an opinion that the beauty of Ikat is in its bold Telia Rumal-like design, which is from India, or Uzbek Central Asian large designs. I am very fascinated with the Uzbek Ikat design, as I know that technically creating a large motif is a challenge. And I'm happy to see a lot of Uzbek friends having display at the booth. I have, without their permission, taken inspiration and woven a fabric to make my part of my collection tonight. The present Ikat trend is minimalistic, but in my fashion show you will see that I could not resist and I have used all bold designs. We all know the history that India was divided into political and geographical states after the British rule. In 1920s map of India, if you see, South India was one unit and Orissa was also part of Andhra Pradesh. That's the map. Later I'm going to enlarge and show you. We didn't have different states like what we have today. We have had like Orissa and Andhra Pradesh were called Southern State, and Hyderabad, the city where I come from, was called Nizam State. We have historic evidences of trade textiles of Ikat produced from this southern region of India, but we do not have much evidences of Ikat produced in Andhra Pradesh before 19th century. So the trade textiles which were produced were from Orissa and Gujarat. So the assumption is that the Ikat technique originated in India in Orissa region and traveled to neighboring Andhra Pradesh and became famous with the trade of Telia Rumal, the oil-treated natural dyed double Ikat textile. What you will see later in more detail, the square-shaped turban, or it was used also as a loin cloth, woven in pairs in 55 to 75 square centimeter. This village is in Andhra Pradesh now. Here you will see the map of India, and this is what Andhra Pradesh used to be. I mean, this is today's Andhra Pradesh and this is Telangana. So if you see in this map, Andhra Pradesh and Orissa were one state, and here somewhere was the Nizam state where Hyderabad is. So this is the geographical introduction, and you can read here that pre-independence how the states were divided. But art, crafts and textiles know no boundaries. So always history has told us that the migration of technique happened due to cross-cultural marriages, that a daughter from one family would be given to the neighboring state who brought a weaving skill with her, so the family started weaving such things. In early 19th century, the demand of Ikat textiles increased and the technique was adopted by the weavers of Nalgonda district, which is now in Telangana state, which is just outside Hyderabad. Here the Ikat designs in cotton and silk were found in bold and simpler compositions compared to the Ikat of Orissa. You people all friends have seen that we have booth of creativity here, and we also have a booth of Vriksha here from Gunjan, and we have all the Ikats for you all to compare. So Hyderabad or Telangana region has adopted the technique much later, and the forms there are bold and mostly in geometric design. As a designer, I have been working with this technique and many other traditional Indian techniques ever since I graduated from design school, NID, got married and established the design studio Creative Bee in Hyderabad together with my husband Keshav Rao, who is a painter, and later he's mastered the knowledge of natural dye and created a Creative Bee dye farm. As we see that Ikat textiles are tied and dyed and woven by women and men weavers in Hyderabad. Several villages in and around Hyderabad, namely in the districts Nalgonda and Yadadri. Both are 100 kilometers radius from the city. Those who have travelled to Hyderabad have definitely visited the villages. Chirala has almost lost the skill, and weavers there are weaving non-Ikat handloom these days. So there is no Ikat woven there anymore. Villages, if you want to familiarize those who travel to India often, each village has a different product category, and the textures are different. Counts of thread woven are also different. Koilagudam, Bogaram and Siripuram. These are cotton centers, and Chowtuppal mainly mercerized cotton, Puttapaka, Pochampalli, Gattuppal and Vellanki, which do both cotton and silk weaving, with Ikat saris being very famous from that region. Typically, these areas produce silk saris, cotton saris, shirting material, which is called fashion fabric, furnishing fabrics and home linen as well. Lot of international stores develop their home linen range from this region, as we have looms as wide as 110 inches also. In Telangana state, as I have just now mentioned, that there are more men weavers and less of women weavers. Women weavers have to support the husband for doing the pre and post handloom processes. So women mostly engage in that. You will see in my presentation later that how the family as a whole create ikat. Ikat is not just created by one man weaver. In past 3 decades, we have trained not less than 1,000 weavers under various projects which came our way from the Government of India or UNESCO, UNDP or UN or any private NGOs. And but one thing that we have mastered is the translation of design, modern design, into the traditional skill. This is what is called methodology of transforming design to the production. In my presentation, I am briefly showing the pre-loom processes as well as tying and dyeing techniques practiced in Telangana. As we know, each ikat producing region and country have their own indigenously developed techniques of each process pertaining to ikat. It all results into the same effect of woven textile, but the way we do is different. So also the most important aspect of any textile is the design and its final output. We have two groups in the world existing who are textile promoters. One group believes that traditional textile should be preserved in nutshell, in its original form, in its museum-like quality, and another group, which is dominated by the designers, think that if the craft has to survive, it has to be modernized, it has to be contemporarized, but they should not cross the threshold of the spiritual, the religious and the sanctity of the technique. They cannot twist and turn the traditional technique. When they do that, they kill the craft. I have certain examples which I would be showing you later. This picture is 10 years or more old, and here I am explaining the design process to the Weavers Cooperative in Pochampalli village. The second most important tool, apart from designing talent, we need while working with any rural artisan group is the language of that region. If you don't know the language, then how do you express your views about paper design to your weaver? So when I got married to Rao and moved from Gujarat to southern India, I didn't speak that language. So first couple of years, my design transformation to the looms were not that effective. I had to learn the language and be very easily communicative to the weavers. Thirdly, our attitude towards the weavers and the craftspeople, you need to offer them equal dignity or even more, as they will sometimes have far superior creative ability than we as designers have. Unfortunately, they wouldn't have had the opportunity to go to study at the design school as we designers had. But they are superior creative beings, and we always have to show that respect when we work with them. That is the third most important thing. Now, because of time constraint, I am going to quickly run through the processing of loom in India. I am sure most of you know it, but I would like to show it, however, as India is the largest ikat producing country today. It does not produce the best quality, It produces good quality. This region came into production much later than all other traditional textile centers. But today it feeds and fuels the largest quantity of bulk orders of export. This is a pre-loom process. A pre-loom process even today is by hand. We have developed indigenous small machines which will reel the bobbins, 100 bobbins in one go. But most of the time in India, in the villages, we don't have electricity. We have 3-4 hours in a day. The electricity is, it's called power cut. So this is also somewhat semi-mechanized. It's a warping wheel, and I don't see this in many countries. But in my region, I see this. It can make more than 100 meters long warp also. And you see, wife is always with the weaver. Weaver alone can't function. And the tedious way of harnessing the loom for ikat particularly is you have to go there to see it. No PowerPoint presentation can explain it. And I'm sure all of you come from ikat region. So many friends, so many eminent speakers have shown here. This hard work of harnessing the loom is unavoidable. And it's time-taking. And this is the major source of employment for women weavers, or we call it semi-skilled women weavers. Because they know how to weave, but they also have to first do the pre and post loom process with the husband, and then if there is time, they could do weaving. You see, as soon as they finish the morning work like cooking, sending children to school, then relaxed, sit here and start preparing the reed for the next design. And it's like a meditation. I myself weaving is so relaxing, that people in India, in some cities like Bangalore, have started a therapy studio with small looms. So whoever wants to go there and do the weaving as a therapy, it is like a meditation indeed. You see, the elderly lady, even at the age of 70 plus, they still don't give up their work and they continue helping. And then 90% of weavers have in the backyard the dyeing facility, which is where we were going wrong. India particularly, and my region, was going wrong 10 years ago. If government had given timely help to set up small-scale dyeing houses, we wouldn't have lost the export market, which we have lost in between. 10 years ago, we had, as you will see later, that we had large Japanese orders. But the flowing water and the right use of the azo-free dye is very necessary in today's world, when the world is becoming so eco-conscious, which is what is not still prevailing. My dye farm do conduct training programs, but there are lakhs of weavers, and we are like less than a drop in the ocean to guide them to go eco-friendly ways. Look at the labor of tying and dyeing, and as many times you dye, that many times you dye. See, one color is being dyed already, and red is being dyed, and we go up to 5 to 6 colors. And again, this is weft, planning of, if it's double ikat, planning of weft design, marking, putting it on the dyeing meticulously as per the graph. It's a whole day activity, round the clock. One process after another process after another process keep on happening. And dyed and dyed yarn, even without going onto the loom, is so beautiful. I'm always fascinated with this yarn, and in the process we have under Creative Bee few hundred looms doing our job, and a lot of yarn go wrong with the design, and then we take it and keep it separately for random ikat weaving. At my booth there is an example of it called random ikat weaving, where even a flaw, a design which have a flaw, will look like a nice pattern. And this is the labor of love again, the women sitting and making small bobbins. There is no modernization has come up yet, except that, as I explained, some people have developed bobbin winding. 100 bobbins can be wound with the motor. But as you say, electricity is not there. So this is the resurgence of Patan Patola like design in my region. My region, the weavers have been very adaptive. That is Telangana. They can adapt anything. And nowadays, again, the silk patola like design in dupattas, in saris and shawls are getting woven. The orders come from Bombay, Delhi and all metro cities. This is the traditional Telia Rumal. I'm not going to talk about it because it's all scholars and eminent guests here are with a great textile background, and they must have read and they must have seen the documentaries that is made by Dana McCown, a dear friend of mine from Australia. She lived in the village 10 years ago for 5 to 7 days and documented this entire process, because the process in oil is there now. Nobody is doing it. This is a recent Telia Rumal-like design which got award from our region, and it's very difficult. Though, as you see, the fineness of design is not there, but this is what the best that we could now do. And this is Telia Rumal-like design woven on the loom. At my booth, you will see a couple of pieces like this. This is my design. As a designer, I'm fascinated with the graphic composition of Telia Rumal. So I would just take few elements and develop it into a sari. Again, another simpler design on loom. As I was saying, that we have had a great Japanese market 10 years ago, and we were so influenced by these designs. Any design that a Japanese buyer has given, we would produce in 1,000 meters or 5,000 meters. We meaning not me, but my region. But the designs are still going on, and they have gone into the mainstream fashion. They have remained in the mainstream fashion. In early 19th century till mid, Ikat weavers had large orders for export, particularly from Japan. Gradually the orders declined because of various reasons, mainly being the use of inferior quality dyes, as I was mentioning. Designs are mostly in single color or maximum 4 colors. The size of the motifs, repeat, is larger than they need to make the warp for large quantity. As I was saying, that Uzbek design are very difficult for our weavers to create because the motifs are large. Till today, we see the Japanese-inspired designs being woven in our ikat and used in mainstream fashion. This is from last year's collection, my collection. As you see, the boxes are double ikat, and shawls made in this play of bright colors. These are not natural dye, but they are azo-free dye. My own ikat production is azo-free mostly, and also partly natural dye. I have examples here for you all to see. Ikat bold designs are beautiful, and this is what is happening now. This is, I call it, that a weaver became confused. Weaver is not been allowed to do what he is good at. And designers from other countries, designers from other states just come for a day, come for 2 days and try to directly work with the weavers. Weaver gets so confused about the combination and about the design in the one corner of a shawl and middle. And so as a person who's worked for over 2 decades in this design and production field, my eyes and mind really get disturbed when I see things like this. You know, no harmony in colors, big motifs, small motifs being enlarged and stretched. That is where the students have to learn. Sorry, I'm not being able to synchronize. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Look at the designs here. This is what I'm saying, that look at this part. This is very beautiful. And this is something that they are trying to copy from Orissa. You know, these motifs. And again here you see this is copy of Orissa. Gunjan, my friend here, the designer from Orissa, would agree that small, tiny, fine Odia motifs have been enlarged here. And they lost the beauty of it. These are saris being produced in fine silk and cotton these days. The Indian markets are flooded with this. This is the global trend that, you know, I'm just showing you that even a child is wearing ikat. Isn't that a very cute picture, you know, a child wearing an ikat garment? and the trend all over the world, you can categorize it as say 5% of the entire fashion demand or the market. But we, the weavers and the producers, are less than 5%. So there is a big demand. And as I said, the sustainable fashion is the call of the day. So if we are working with Ikat weavers, whether in India, in Telangana, Orissa, or in Thailand, or in Malaysia, the call of the day is that the weaver should have handful of work, they should earn more than minimum for the family, only then the craft is going to survive. It's not a myth, it's not an idealistic dream. It's a reality of the day that a man who has to run the family need to earn certain amount of money. That's why, as a design and handloom advocate for handloom, my efforts have been to train the weaver of any region, let that be Africa, let that be Malaysia, India, to educate the weaver saying that your skill is priceless. So if you are producing it in an inferior yarn, don't do that. You produce something which is in good quality yarn, best quality dye, because your time you cannot compromise. Whether you use inferior material or you use superior material, you are putting in the same amount of time. But if you use superior material, superior design, you are going to earn better. And world is the market for you. So preserve your heritage of technique, but diversify within the parameter. If you have been weaving saris, weave stoles, weave dress fabric, because in India there is a reduction in use of sari by women, because women started working, the life became fast, and we also have woman in India is multitasker like anywhere else, but more so in India, because the housewife role she's not been able to compromise with. So in this speed, the sari they think is not a very comfortable attire, though I don't agree with them, because my most eminent friends and the people who have achieved so much in life, they wear saris. So it's very personal, but on the whole, I can't neglect the fact that in India, the demand of sari decreasing. So diversification of design is my last slide, which also says a lot, because I'm saying that ties that is binding the timeless ikat designs on the yarn should bind us together, and in a strong bond of commitment, we all, the commitment should be that we will continue to meet at Weft Forum year after year to fuel the mission, which is 3 P's, promotion, patronage, preserve, that the next generation will have the real treasure. If we preserve this craft, we sustain, and not only sustaining, but the craft has to be thriving. So preserve, promote, and get the patronage wherever it is available. Mr. Adrigong, Manjari Nirula, and the World Crafts Council, Raja Fuzia, Madam Surabhi, the ministers who have been kind enough to promote this event for not once. This is the 8th World Ikat Textile Forum, and we are here, I think, more than 50 people who have been associated with the forum from the beginning, and we will continue to associate ourselves as long as the forum is on. So we all wish and pray that we get more support and more hands to join in our mission of 3P, promote, preserve, and get the patronage for handcrafts. Particularly, this is the Ikat Forum, and I see that all crafts are dwindling. Ikat, double Ikat is vanishing from India. There are very fine, as my friend Q Siri was saying, that the textiles were produced years ago. She cannot produce anymore. And in the audience, I have a dear friend. This morning I met her, Lucy. She said she's wearing one of my oldest stole, which is produced in a Jamdani technique, which is gone. Now, in India, in my region, cotton Jamdani interlock is not being done. So, it is really sad that we can say that it's a losing battle, but I don't want to be negative about it. I want to be optimistic about it, and I should say that as designers, promoters, scholars, students, let us be at it and it will work. Thank you very much. For the students, I have exercise which is displayed here. This is the warp, yellow warp for ikat with yellow weft in raw silk. On the same warp, I have produced these with black weft. You can see. So when you can't experiment, when you don't have 100 pieces to work with on one warp, you can experiment. And my most fascinating play on textile is weaving loose. So ikat dyers and weavers say, no, we cannot use weave loose weave, we cannot put less picks. And we cannot experiment with yarn, it will break. But all those fears are false. You see this piece when the lecture is over, and you will see that it falls like a fluid. It is so airy and so comfortable. So handloom has to be wearable, breathable, and yet fashionable. Thank you.